What if I told you that the patterns inside a teenager's brain could actually predict how healthy that same brain will be at age 80? It sounds kind of out there, right? But today, we're going to explore a really startling connection that reveals this hidden, ticking clock inside every single one of us. And believe it or not, it all starts with just one number.
So here it is, 0.816. I know, it doesn't look like much, does it? Just a number. But hidden inside these digits is the key to a huge medical mystery, a mystery about how all of our brains actually age.
You see, this number, it tells us something absolutely crucial about how your brain works, how it changes over time. And, maybe most importantly, it reveals this critical, limited window of time where you, yes you, have the most power to shape its future.
Okay, so what is it? It's something called a correlation coefficient. And look, you don't need to be a statistician to get this. All you need to know is that any score above 0.8 is considered a crazy strong link. It basically means that two completely different things are moving in near perfect sync, like they're dancing to the exact same song.
All right, so here's the big reveal. That number, 0.816, it's the link between the seasonal patterns of ADHD diagnoses in teenagers and, get this, dementia-like symptoms in that exact same age group. I know, that sounds totally impossible, right? But the data? It's undeniable.
So let's unpack this. How on earth can a condition we usually think of for kids and another one we associate with the elderly be so deeply connected? And let me be clear, this isn't some random statistical fluke. No way. There's a growing mountain of evidence that's confirming this link. A huge study in 2023, published in JAMA, found that adults with ADHD have an almost 3 times higher risk of dementia. And then another massive study out of Taiwan, it put that risk at nearly 4 times higher. The science is really starting to lock in on this. The connection is real, and it is significant.
You know, the source material for this has a really fascinating way of putting it. It calls them cousin diseases. And when you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Right? ADHD, that's basically a functional decline in a young brain, and it's linked to our dopamine system. And dementia, well, that's a functional decline in an older brain, also linked to the very same dopamine pathways. They're like different branches of the same family tree, expressions of the same vulnerability.
So that still leaves the question, why do the patterns match up so perfectly in teenagers? Well, the data all points to one shared trigger: brain burnout. Think about it. The pressure of a new school year, the stress from exams, not getting nearly enough sleep, that stuff hits hard. And it seems to hit in a way that causes cognitive function to drop in the exact same pattern at the exact same time of year.
Okay, so that was piece number 1 of the puzzle. But the next bit of data we're going to look at, this is where the story gets really dramatic. This is all about how the flexible, adaptable brain you have when you're young slowly becomes the fixed, rigid brain of your adult life. So, check this out. This graph tracks seasonal depression patterns across different age groups. And when we look at our teens and 20s, you just see chaos, right? The lines are all over the place. There's not much of a pattern at all. But here's the thing. That chaos, it's not a bug, it's a feature. It's the sign of a flexible, resilient brain that hasn't been locked into one set way of doing things yet.
But now, watch what happens when we move into our 30s. Whoa. The pattern shifts. And it shifts dramatically. All of a sudden, the correlation with an older brain's response jumps to 0.818. This is it. This is the transition. This is the moment where the brain starts to lose that flexibility, and its patterns begin to harden, almost like concrete.
And that leads us to the most critical point of this whole thing. From age 40 on, the patterns just lock in. Look at how tightly the lines are clustered. The correlation is now over 0.9. Statistically, that means they're pretty much identical. Your brain's response to stress, to seasonal changes, it's now basically set. For life.
Yeah, let that sink in for a second. By the time you hit 40, your brain's fundamental patterns are basically the same as they're going to be when you're 80. It's like the mold has been set.
Okay, I know that might sound a little scary or, I don't know, final, but it's actually a message of incredible hope. Because what it really reveals is this powerful but limited window of opportunity that only exists when we're young. Remember that chaotic, messy-looking graph from the teenage brain data? Well, that messiness, that's actually its greatest strength. It's visual proof of what scientists call neuroplasticity.
the brain's amazing ability to rewire itself, to learn new things, to adapt, and even to heal.
Here's the best way to picture it. A young brain is like wet clay. It's malleable. You can shape it, you can mold it, you can create new, healthier patterns. But an adult brain, after age 40, it's more like hardened concrete. Those patterns are set in place, and trying to change them is, well, it's really, really difficult.
So what this all means is that your teens and 20s, they're not just some phase you have to get through, they are the primary construction zone for your brain. This is the one shot you get to lay the foundation for your brain's health for the next 60 years. All right, so if you have this limited window, what do you do with it? How do you take that malleable clay and shape it into something strong and resilient? Well, the source material has this great phrase for it. It calls it drawing a happy brain map.
And here's the blueprint. And you'll see it's not super complicated, but it is incredibly powerful. Number 1, movement and exercise. You got to send that vital oxygen up to the brain. Number 2, quality nutrition. The brain needs good building blocks to work with. And number 3, a consistent biorhythm. That just means a stable, healthy daily pattern of sleeping and waking.
And that's why this all matters so much. Because the little habits you form today, they aren't just for today. They are literally programming the fixed, concrete patterns that you will live with from age 40 all the way to age 80. So we're going to end with a question for everyone, really. Whether you're a teen yourself, a parent, or just someone who's fascinated by how all this works, your brain is under construction right now. The question is, what are you going to build?